Hello everybody on Facebook and YouTube. Welcome to my new series. Now this series is called Yorkshire and Cleveland, the Hidden Gems. What's that all about, I can hear you asking. Well, let me explain. I live in Whitby on the Yorkshire coast, and year on year we get loads of visitors to this area. Not just Whitby, to Scarborough, to Redcar, to Saltburn. And they all come for the main attractions that they know about. So when they come into Whitby, visitors they come and visit the Dracula Museum. They walk up and down the 199 steps. And when they go to Scarborough, they might want to visit the Scarborough Castle, etc. There's loads of attractions like that in our area. But there's so many that are less known about, just as interesting, and a lot of the time a lot more cost effective, lower cost. So this whole series, I'm going to be basing it and documenting just a handful of those attractions that tourists come and they may not know about. The first one that I'm going to be documenting, and this is what this episode is on, is Saltwick Bay. Saltwick Bay is situated just south of Whitby, between there and Robin Hood Bay. It's an area of archaeological interest. You can go down to this beach and there's plenty of areas where you can go fossiling if that's something you really enjoy. One of the key things and one of the main attractions to the beach is the abundance of shipwrecks in the area, two of which are actually visible at low tide when going down into the day. You may know about the Rahilla that's situated just offshore. There's going to be some information about that in this video, but there's also going to be information about the two shipwrecks that you can see at low tide. So I hope you enjoy this episode. The next bit is going to be about how to access Saltwick Bay, the driving directions, etc., and what is the access down on foot to the bay. So I really hope you enjoy this. Thank you very much. If you are approaching from the Teesside and Pickering roads, the best way to reach Saltwick Bay is going via Green Lane. And to do that, the best way is to go over the A171 New Bridge. Take a left here on the east side, down Spitall Bridge Road. This is a really awkward junction, so watch out here. And Green Lane is down this road on your right-hand side. Coming up on your right-hand side, that is Green Lane. Turn up there. To reach Saltwick Bay from the town centre, you need to again head to Green Lane, but approach it in the opposite direction. And to do that, you need to head over the swing bridge and head up and follow it round along Church Street. And Green Lane is just coming up here on your left-hand side. So, turn up there. It's a steep hill. And when you get to the top, turn right. Okay, so we're now approaching the top of Green Lane. Turn right here. And on your left-hand side, a short distance down the road, you'll see the sign for Whitby Holiday Park. There's a sign and there's a red post box here. Follow this road for a short distance and you'll get to that point. Take care and drive slowly as you go down this narrow road to the holiday park. There are potholes, then park up on the left. If you're approaching from the Scarborough direction on the A171, you need to turn right onto Horsker Lane. It is signposted for the Abbey and campsites opposite the cycle hire building. Pass through the village, and after about a mile or so, you will come to the right-hand turn that takes you into Whitby Holiday Park. So if you follow the road around to the entrance to the Whitby Holiday Park, where the arrow is on the screenshot, that is where the access to the beach is. Be wary, it is steep access, but when you get to this point, you'll be greeted by this magnificent view, and in the summer, it's even better. So, shall we go down to the beach?
Right, good morning everybody. Happy New Year. I'm filming this on New Year's Eve. I've come here to Saltwick Bay, just down south of Whitby, and I've come here because it's going to be busy in Whitby on New Year's Eve. There's plenty of people wandering about, so the dogs need a nice walk. I thought I would bring them down here to one of my favourite spots. It's a lovely beach if you can get down to it. There's the access up there up all them steps, so if you come down here you need to be quite sort of fit and able and be wearing the right footwear. And one of the best bits about being down here is there's two shipwrecks that you can look at, and I'll get the information for those and put it in this video. One of them's over in that direction and one of them's over in that one. In that direction you can walk to Whitby, but you must get the tides right and beware of the slippy rocks there. So yeah, if you want to come to this beach, you need to follow the signs for Whitby Holiday Park, and then you park just round the corner from the entrance. In the video I will post the screenshot of the map and giving you the directions of how to get here. You must park in the correct spot. There are signposts saying where it's private parking and beyond this point, so you must not park beyond there. You can walk along the Cleveland Way, along the cliff top there as well. One of my favourite walks is I'll time the tides right and I will go along the beach to Whitby East Pier, and then up from the East Pier, up 199 steps, back along through the Cleveland Way and through the holiday park and back to the car. That's a lovely walk, that. Yeah, just watch on in this video and I'll provide all the information that you need. Look at the place, look at how beautiful it is. And at times it is quite secluded. You'll probably you can find yourself being the only person down here. So I hope you enjoy this video.
So the first wreck I'm going to tell you about is the Admiral Von Tromp. From Saltwick Bay, turn right, walk along the beach towards the Black Nab, along the slippery rocks. The OS map shows the approximate location of the wreck. The following story is from www.thewhitbyguide.co.uk. The ship sank on the 30th of September 1976. It had 5 crew members aboard. They were Frankie Tarl, Alan Marston, Anthony Nicholson, George Eves and John Addison. The ship was en route from Scarborough to Barnacle Bay, 40 nautical miles north-northeast of Scarborough. Skipper Frankie Tarl set the ship on course and went down below to get some sleep, leaving John Addison at the wheel. Tarl was woken when he felt the ship bump and heel. He realised the boat had begun heeling towards the Black Nab. "What the hell are you doing?" Tarl shrieked at Addison. But Addison bizarrely looked back in complete silence. The rescue was tricky. Tarl ordered the crew to hang on to the starboard side of the boat to counteract the heel of the boat, but the sea became too treacherous. They headed back into the wheelhouse, which was slowly filling with water. Sadly, Addison had already drowned. The rest of the crew had to leave through an open window after an hour. Brave Skipper Tarl made sure he was the last one to escape. A large wave knocked George Reeves from the top of the wheelhouse, where he was standing. He fell into the sea and drowned. Tarl was washed overboard and rescued by the inshore lifeboat. The other survivors were washed ashore. The lifeboat tried to get near them numerous times, but failed due to the fog and heavy seas. In reality, though, the sinking of the Admiral von Tromp was a real mystery, and that there is just one of the theories floated about by the whitbyguide.co.uk. However, the facts are here, and from these you can make up your own story or theory. The boat was found 90 degrees off course, with no apparent reason as to why. An extensive investigation into the weather revealed that it was okay, there was no problem with the weather that day. The crew were not drunk, and the boat, left to its own devices, would not have gone off course like it did. So we can only expect from that this was a deliberate act, perhaps by Mr. John Addison. However, what do you think? If you do have your own theory, then please feel free to visit the whitbyguide.co.uk. Find the section on the Admiral von Tromp, and there you can leave your comment. They would love to hear from you. However, I did say that there were 2 shipwrecks that when you're walking on Saltwick Bay that you can see from the beach. The other one is called the MV Crater Block, and the next section of the video is going to be about that wreck. So to actually see the wreck of the MV Crete Block, you need to make sure that it's a really low tide, otherwise you won't actually see it. So the best time to go down and see the wreck, and actually go down and visit Saltwick Bay anyway, is when we are having the spring tides in Whitby. That's when they're really, really high, and then really, really low at the other end. So to actually reach the wreck of the Crete Block from the Saltwick Bay direction, you can reach it from the Whitby in the east pier as well, but to reach it from the Saltwick Bay direction, from the bottom of the cliff path, you need to turn left, walk across the rocky shoreline where all the rock pools are, and there's 2 ways you can get to it. Once you're nearing the headland, you can go round the headland, or you can cut across the sort of middle of it and then climb down the rocks on the other side. So I've never actually gone round the headland, but apparently that is slightly safer and easier to get round there. The only time, or the 2 times that I've done this walk, I've gone across the headland because I didn't know about the other way. And that way really is quite dodgy. The rocks are slipping, you have to sort of climb down them. So if you're not particularly able-bodied, or if you've got dogs, it would probably be easier to actually go around the headland. It might take a little bit longer, but it's worth it for your safety. And once you're over that side, there's another little sort of rocky bay area, and the MV Crete Block is just on the other side of that, somewhere It's closer to the shoreline than it is to the cliff face. So you're probably wondering why the ship was called the MV Creek Block. Well, there's a very simple reason behind that. It was actually made of concrete. I know that would defy logic in most people's minds that a ship could be made of concrete, a heavy stone, and heavy stone, surely that doesn't float. Well, actually, sometimes it does. And during the Great World War, the First World War, engineers and shipwrights were desperate to find a way to build much needed military vessels because materials like metal were in such short supply for obvious reasons. So they had to find something else to build boats with. And they did just that with concrete. The ship was built in 1919 in Shoreham, East Sussex. It was purchased by Smith's Dock in Teesside, where it was used as a harbour tug. In 1935 it was taken to Whitby to be scrapped. It was stripped of all valuable items and it began to deteriorate. In 1947 the decision was taken to scuttle a ship. Scuttling is when a ship is sunk deliberately. In its dilapidated state, the ship had served its time and was destined for a watery grave. During the towing operation out to be scuttled, the ship grounded on the shallow waters of the rocky Whitby Scar. This is where the ship still lies today, but the wreck is gradually being washed away by the North Sea. So there we have it, the pretty interesting stories of the Admiral von Tromp and the MV Creek Block. Those are the two wrecks that you can see on the shorelines surrounding Whitby. However, there are many more shipwrecks around the area that you can't see and are merely sort of really good dive sites. I'm not going to go through all of them, but there is one famous one that I am going to talk about in a bit more detail in just a second. That is the SS Rahilla. It was the most famous World War I hospital ship, and there is a local legend about the 3-day rescue that goes around Whitby, so I'm going to tell you a little bit about that in a minute. So here are some of the others that I'm not going to tell you much about. You can go online on the Whitby Guide and research those for yourself. So we've got the SMU C-70, a German type mine-laying submarine or U-boat in the German Imperial Navy. That's off our coastline somewhere under the sea. And the Skane was Swedish cargo ship sank on the 30th of November 1915 on Whitby Rock. We also have the SS Brentwood and many more around the Yorkshire coast. Just if you go online, the Whitby Guide has information on a few of them, but I saw some stuff on Yorkshire Live as well about some other shipwrecks up and down our coast, so have a look at that. But let's talk about the Rahilla. This is going to be the final one. So here's the story of the Rahilla. The following information is a collaboration of stories from the following websites: the whitbyguide.co.uk and the Roll of Honour website. The picture was taken from the whitbyholidaypark.com website. The Rahilla was built and launched by the famous Harland and Wolff shipbuilders of Belfast. They also built the Titanic. She was launched on the 6th of September 1906. She was delivered to the British Indian Steam Packet Navigation Company on the 17th of November 1906. She was named after Afghan tribes who had sought refuge in India during the 18th century. In 1908 she entered service as a permanent military vessel. On the 6th of August 1914 she was changed to a hospital ship and had a major refit. The required equipment was fitted on board. Her passenger areas became hospital wards. She She had 2 theatres put on board. She became known as the HMHS Rahilla. She left Southampton on the 16th of August 1914 and sailed to Scapa Flow, a body of water in the Orkney Islands. On the 29th of October 1914, she left the Orkneys on her fatal voyage to Dunkirk, France. She reached waters off Whitby en route, and her captain was unfamiliar with these waters. There was also uncertainty as to whether enemy submarines or mines were in the area. The weather had started to deteriorate. Gale-force winds were battering the Rahilla as she approached Whitby Rock. The crew were unaware of the danger they were in, and the ship hit the rock. The legend of the 3-day rescue. The ship broke into 3. The stern sank first, killing most of the people in that section. The wreck then broke up after 3 days, with people clinging to it to survive. Crowds gathered on the cliffs and watched as it sank. Many stranded people jumped in the water to swim ashore. The severe weather conditions played havoc with the rescue attempt. The RNLI could not send out the first rowing boat until dawn the next day. They dragged the vessel along the rocks opposite the wreck. 35 of the 229 people on board were saved in 2 trips by the lifeboat. One survivor was Mary Roberts from Liverpool. She was a survivor from the Titanic when it sank 2 years previous. Severe weather badly damaged the lifeboat on its second journey. They could not return to the wreck. Some people were left behind in the wreck. Calls to other lifeboat stations were made, but they faced the same stormy conditions. But that didn't stop them trying. A lifeboat was lowered down the cliffs in the shadow of the abbey by hundreds of men, but the boat could not launch. Many left on the Rahilla became desperate, jumping into the sea. People of Whitby began forming a human chain into the sea to help them to safety. The crew had to wait until the next day when the storm had calmed to reach the remaining survivors. Bravely, and in line with an age-old seafaring rule, the captain was last to leave the vessel. Legend has it that he had the boat's black cat tucked under his arm. Church bells rang across Whitby at the conclusion of the rescue. People wept at the sight of the survivors being brought back to land. Though 104 were saved, the disaster was a turning point for the RNLI. It made lifeboat crews realise that the future lay in engine power rather than pure muscle. So there we have it, guys. There's the story of the Rahilla and the legend of the 3-day rescue. The wreck of the Rahilla is actually still a really popular dive site to this day on our coast. But one thing I must say, the story of the Rahilla and the other stories that I've given you today in this video, they have come from the whitbyguide.co.uk and the Roll of Honour website. The stories are on there. I am merely just relaying them to you in this video. So I must say that and give them the credit. So that concludes episode 1 of my series, my new series, Yorkshire and Cleveland, The Hidden Gems, and I hope you enjoyed it and look forward to episode 2. Now, episode 2, that is going to be where I take you around the beautiful St Mary's Church in Whitby. So now I hope that having watched this video, you can go to Saltwick Bay and have a really good, interesting day out down there. Thank you very much. Goodbye.